When was the last time you were truly bored? Not scrolling while waiting bored. Not podcast during chores bored. Actually bored. Staring at a wall. Mind wandering into darkness. Nothing happening. If you can't remember, you're not alone. And that might be the most dangerous thing about modern life. Here's a fact that will disturb you. The average person now touches their phone 2,617 times per day. We have eliminated boredom with ruthless efficiency. Every empty moment filled. Every silence stuffed with sound. We treat boredom like a disease to be cured. But what if boredom was never the enemy? What if it was the engine? The quiet forge where human civilization was actually built? This is the story of how nothing created everything. How silence sparked revolutions. And why the death of boredom might be killing something essential inside us. In the year 529 AD, a man named Benedict of Nursia did something radical. He created rules for doing nothing. The Benedictine monasteries enforced strict periods of silence. Hours each day where monks could not speak, could not work, could not read. They could only sit and think. Sounds like punishment. It was actually a technology. These silent monasteries became the innovation hubs of medieval Europe. Monks developed new agricultural techniques. They preserved classical knowledge. They invented mechanical clocks, advanced brewing, architectural innovations, all from institutions built around scheduled emptiness. The rule of Saint Benedict wasn't about suffering. It was about creating space. Because those monks understood something we've forgotten. The mind needs emptiness to fill itself. But here's what modern neuroscience has discovered about those silent hours. Something remarkable was happening inside those monks' skulls. Something we can now see on brain scans. In 2001, a neuroscientist named Marcus Reichel discovered something that changed everything. When people do nothing, their brains light up. He called it the default mode network. This network activates specifically when we're not focused on external tasks. When we're bored, daydreaming, staring into space. And it's not random noise. The default mode network is where we simulate futures, process our past, understand other minds. It's where creativity lives. Studies show that people who spend more time in default mode score higher on creative problem-solving tests. Their ideas are more original, more unexpected. The monks didn't know about neural networks, but they built institutions that activated them daily. Now consider this. Every time you reach for your phone to kill a boring moment, you're deactivating the most creative part of your brain. You're choosing entertainment over invention. But the monasteries were just the beginning. Because one man took this principle to its absolute extreme. In 1665, plague hit England. Cambridge University sent students home. A 23-year-old Isaac Newton retreated to his family farm. For 18 months, he had almost nothing to do. No lectures, no social obligations, just a young man alone with his thoughts. In that period of enforced boredom, Newton developed calculus. He discovered the laws of motion. He began his work on gravity. 18 months of silence produced ideas that would shape science for 3 centuries. Newton later called it his annus mirabilis, his year of miracles. But it wasn't miraculous. It was mathematical. Boredom plus time equals breakthrough. This pattern repeats throughout history with suspicious regularity. Darwin's 5-year voyage with endless empty ocean hours. Einstein working a mind-numbing patent office job while revolutionizing physics. Descartes spending a winter alone in a stove-heated room. Emerging with the foundations of modern philosophy. These weren't accidents. But why does this keep happening? What is it about silence that unlocks genius? Psychologists call it the incubation effect. When you stop consciously working on a problem, your unconscious mind continues processing. It makes connections your focused mind would never attempt. It combines distant concepts, ignores conventional boundaries, But incubation requires something specific. Mental emptiness. Your unconscious can't work if your conscious mind is constantly occupied. Every notification, every scroll, every podcast in the background is an interruption. The creative process needs 3 stages: preparation, incubation, illumination. We've become obsessed with preparation. Learning more, consuming more, researching more. But we've eliminated incubation entirely. We never give our minds the empty space to connect what we've learned. It's like filling a library but never reading the books. Ancient cultures understood this intuitively. The Greeks had their symposiums. Hours of wandering conversation. Indigenous Australians practiced walkabout, extended solitary journeys. Buddhist traditions built entire practices around emptying the mind. These weren't primitive practices. They were cognitive technologies. And we've abandoned all of them. At 16, Albert Einstein imagined riding alongside a beam of light. What would it look like? How would it behave? This wasn't a calculation. It was a daydream, a fantasy born from boredom. He called these Gedanken experiments, thought experiments, and they required something impossible to find today: uninterrupted mental space. Einstein famously worked at the Swiss Patent Office, a dull job reviewing technical documents. His brain spent hours in tedium, and in that tedium, it wandered, to light beams, to falling elevators, to the fundamental nature of space and time. His boss once said Einstein spent too much time staring out the window. That staring produced special relativity, general relativity, the photoelectric effect, a complete revolution in physics from a man who was professionally bored. Now here's the uncomfortable question.